Hello, welcome back to the CLS Siren. I'm your host, the counselor. Today we're going to be talking about those people out there that don't know how to control themselves when it comes to spending. Always want to have everything. Enough is never enough. What they see, they got to have. Well, this is really about your means. Are you living within your means? Are you realistic? Can you really afford that thing or do you just want it? See, too many of you don't know the difference between want and needs. And see, you weren't raised properly because what is happening is you think that you can associate what you buy with your personality or how you look and how you can be perceived. Or if you buy this beautiful thing that you really can't afford, it's going to make you feel better. Yes, many of you have raised yourself to believe that. However, I'm telling you, according to the debt and the statistics and what's really going on, too many of you out there, you're living well beyond your means. It's out of control. You see, somebody gives you a credit card and that's a license to spend. And then you end up seeing these bills and it adds more stress to your life. And they say the average person that has a $5,000 credit card bill might take 3 to 5 years to pay it off. Yes, I said it. See, 5,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider the interest that's gained on it monthly, it's terrible. Those are your enemies. However, hey, it's a quick way to purchase things. It's almost given to us. It's gotten to the point where we don't even have to apply for credit card. All of a sudden, ding, ding, in your online account, you get an offer through the bank for a credit card because they're like, wait, we're not getting enough from this individual. We need more money. We know that they can barely afford it, so we bring them over our heads. They're not your friends. And the reason why they're taking advantage of you is because of you. See, you have to live within your means. And this means more than just balancing your budget. It really means being aware of the difference between what you need and what you want, right? Think about it. You have to understand that living within your means requires you to be mindful of how you spend your money. But if you do it correctly, you won't actually be depriving yourself of the things you really need to be happy. Right? You got to maintain a balanced budget. You have to create a list of essentials. This includes things such as groceries, utilities, and clothing. I know some of you are out there buying clothes, everything you see, or if it's on sale, see, that's the trick. You ever see that for sale sign? 20% off or 30% off. Oh, so your mind's tricked into believing that you get a discount. Even though you got a whole closet full of jeans out there, you're going to end up buying more jeans. Oh, because those ones are outdated. See, you have to do the right thing. See, essentials are just that, essentials. Essentials are things you absolutely cannot do without. You cannot survive without groceries, for example, while you can survive without spending 1,000 on clothing each month, even if you don't feel that way. That's just the way it is. There's too many people out there who are just spending to be spending. Now you got to look at yourself if you're overspending. What are you not happy with? What's going on? This has been a big barrier in relationships, this spending. I know they say that up to 65 to 70% of relationships have problems when it comes to spending. They either split up or they're always arguing about something. You got to estimate your income and be realistic, people. I know in this country over here in Canada, people who are making 100,000 aren't really making 100,000. They're making 50,000. They're not making, so somebody making 50,000, they're not making 50,000. They're actually taking home 25,000. We've been fooled into thinking that we're getting more than we actually are. So what do? We go out there and keep spending. We think, oh, you know what? I got a lot of money. I could do this. No. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. You have to work best on your monthly income. You have to know what you're actually bringing home. If you are a part-time, unemployed, or dependent, this may be a bit more difficult. Most likely, your best route is to take your monthly income or budget for the last 3 months and average it out. While this may not be spot on, it will likely be close enough for you to rely on to make ends meet. See, when you have to estimate your income, remember to remove the amount that you would reserve for taxes. Depending on how much you make, it may look like you have a bit more money than you actually do before you pay your dues to Uncle Sam, the tax man, the big boss, the government. Record all of your expenditures. To do this, record what you bought, how much you spent, and where you bought your goods and services from. This does not have to be extremely detailed. $100 on groceries at Walmart will suffice. Once again, this will probably be best from a monthly standpoint. See how much you spent on all of your essential items and non-essential items as well. If this is hard to track because you pay for a lot of things in cash, and if you do, good for you, or you just can't keep your bills straight, then you can start tracking your expenditures for the current or next month instead. Compare your income to the expenditure. See how you fare. If you are significantly in the green, then you're doing fine. However, if your income expenditures are equal, then you're not saving any money. And if your expenditures are much higher than your income, then you have a problem. Of course, if you are a student and currently don't have an income, then this will naturally happen. But you can still think about how you can spend less money in the future. I want you to evaluate those expenditures. See where your money is going. Start by categorizing your purchase. Make essentials one category. The rest of the categories will be unique to your preferences. For example, one category might be eating out. Once you have done this, add up all the purchases in the category and create a category total. Cut the fat. I'm not joking. More than likely, you notice that at least one category other than essentials that seems to be eating a large portion of your income. Take a look at this category. See what you can cut out. If you are seeing 9 or 10 trips to Starbucks under eating out, try cutting this down to 3 or 4. This could be a quick $25 savings right there. Continue to cut at the non-necessities until your income is higher than your expenditures. Boost your income if it's necessary. You may see that your spending has so far outrun your earnings that you'll have to do far more than just cut your expenses if you want to make ends meet. You may need to take on extra hours at work, ask for a raise, or look for a higher paying or part-time job to raise your income. If there are other members in your household, see if another income earner can do the same. Or if you have teenager or older children, see if they can take on a part-time job. Oh yeah, I know a lot of them don't want to do it. See, that's the thing about a lot of those kids out there. They don't think in families that they should be contributing. Some of them do, but some of them don't. Some of them feel like, what you had me, you're responsible for me, so you need to take care of me. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. You need to get off of that train because you want to teach those young people that responsibilities are a part of life. If you give these kids no responsibility when they grow up, how realistic is it going to be for them in society? See, once they have these unrealistic views of society, what do? They start doing things that are not the right thing. And then they start trying to get money inappropriately, or they try to cut corners, or they think life is going to be easy. See, if you expect life to be hard, it gets easier. But if you expect life to be easy, it gets hard. So you got to remember the message that you're sending by giving no responsibility. And I know there's parents out there, those kids, they deserve a life. They deserve to have a benefit. They should be with me. They shouldn't have to pay. They should have no responsibility. Well, I'll tell you something right now. Unless you're Richie Rich and you can afford to do that, and I'll tell you the truth, even rich people don't let their kids get everything, right? They don't. They want them to work for it. They know that they got to not only collect it, they got to manage it, maintain it, and invest it. So that there's always work to be done, whether you have a lot of money or you don't. So you got to watch your pennies, and you got to set saving goals. Create attainable goals within a reasonable time frame. Maybe your goal is to spend $200 a month. Maybe your goal is to save $120 for a trip to Paris at the end of the next year. The more specific and attainable your goal is, the more likely you will be able to reach it. If your general goal is to just spend less money, that is too vague for you to really take initiative or to know if you're getting close to reaching it. There are people out there that won't save. They'll end up going on vacation. Oh, I got a vacation coming up, but they haven't been saving for it. So they go anyway. And what do? See, you feel good when you go on vacation because you have, oh, I deserved it. I worked hard all year. I'm going to have a wonderful time. You know what? This is something I've been waiting for forever. So then you go on this beautiful, wonderful vacation and you have a fantastic time. You end up racking up all this debt on your credit card, and then you end up coming back. But what happens when you come back? Then you got to spend a whole year trying to figure out how you're going to save the money to pay off the debt that you accumulated in a couple weeks. But the truth is, life gets in the way. Something happens. So it's better to plan your way through, right? Save if you have to. Save for an emergency. If you really want to live within your means, then you can't let one expected or unexpected event like a car accident or job loss completely ruin your finances. You need to save some away for a rainy day. Even if you're only saving $100 a month, this money will add up and you will feel much more safe and confident than if you're spending your money down to the wire every month without having a penny to spare. Even throwing your change in an emergency jar at the end of every day will help you mentally prepare to set some of your money aside for the unforeseeable future. You have to adjust your perspective on spending. There's too many that are on automatic pilot. Oh, this Saturday I'm going to the mall. I just always go to the mall to buy this. Or I got to go to my favorite restaurant every week. Oh, this is where we're meeting. You got to change it up a little bit because you have to do an assessment of your current situation. You have to know what's coming in and what's going out. It's that simple. You got assets or you got liabilities. If you have too many liabilities, you're just living underwater. You hear all those people talk about, well, by the end of the month, I'm just paying all my bills. I'm barely paying them. And then you get stressed and frustrated. See, not taking the time to do these little steps causes you so much stress because then you get surprised when the bills come in and then, they start adding up. Or something happens and somebody wants to borrow money from you. That's a big one too, lending out money. You should not be lending out money to people. You know what I mean? You got to keep control. And see, when you assess your situation better, you're going to know that you can't afford that. Or you're going to be able to help them in some other way, but that's maybe not one of them. You know what I mean? You got to watch it because 80% of the money that goes out never comes back. So you just don't want to get into that. But you want to make sure you're keeping things balanced within your home situation because, if your finances are balanced, your mind is balanced, right? You know what stresses that adds to your life. You have to be able to distinguish between what you want and what you need. Sure, you may think that you really need a huge HD TV, but would you really suffer if you got a TV of a smaller size? Or stuck with your old for a while instead? Do you really need designer shoes or sunglasses, or would you be just as happy with a cheaper pair? Do you need to spend $90 every time you go out to dinner with your partner? Or can you go somewhere a little bit cheaper or have a romantic night cooking at home instead? Realizing that you don't really need all those things you think you need will definitely help you live within your means. It's okay to splurge on something you don't really need once in a while, right? I'm not trying to tell you don't live your life, but you shouldn't make a habit of it. And when you do splurge, you should be conscious that your life will be just as good without that thing, right? Understand where your true happiness is. If it's in spending, make sure it's under control. And if you're spending everything you got, you can't really be happy at the end of the day because life, it has its incidents where you're going to need some extra change every once in a while. Don't even bother trying to keep up with the Joneses. There's too many of us doing it. And it's not, and I'm going to say this, it's not easy to do, especially when you got the propaganda machine going on 24/7. Think about it. You got the television, the media, they're always trying to convince you to buy something. Any little penny they get out your pocket is good for them and bad for you. We're being advertised every day. Think about every time we turn around, somebody has a sale or something looks good or we got to have it. We might have 20 jackets in our closet, but we got to have an extra one. And too many of you are living beyond their means. Think about this young generation. The sad thing is they're buying so much and consuming so much that they don't even care about the future. And what do they say to themselves? Oh, I could die tomorrow. But most likely you're going to live tomorrow. And you got to take care of things. You know what I mean? So, I mean, save it for a rainy day just as like comfort, right? You know what I mean? Trying to keep up with the Joneses. There's too many of us trying to do it. We're sitting up there watching them television shows where they got all this butt implants, face transformations. They're spending all this money unnecessarily. Meanwhile, there's a part of the world that's starving. And what we're doing, we're over consuming over here. It's not even a thoughtful world. We have to do better. So maybe your neighbors just got a swimming pool or built an addition onto their home. But they may make maybe twice as much as you do. See, and the thing about neighbors is funny. You're going to notice this. If you buy something, right? Like if you buy a stainless steel fridge and your neighbors, they get a hold of seeing, neighbors watch you, they compete. I'm sorry. Neighbors are very competitive. You'll see that neighbors will try to do what you do. And that's called keeping up with the Joneses. If they see a big screen TV box out there, they want that. If they see you getting lights on your house to decorate, they want that. You know what I mean? It's always competitive, people. You don't need to do all that. If you get caught up in trying to keep up with everyone around you, then not only will you never be happy, but you will also never be able to live within your means because you'll be too busy trying to maintain an image that you can never fully live up to. Sure, your best friend's new designer jeans look amazing on her. Be happy for her. Cute new look instead of being jealous and wishing you can afford the same. Right? Be happy she has that cutie going on. All right? Don't worry about it. You can get yours, but you got the budget. Jealousy is guaranteed to make you an unhappy person and to never be satisfied with what you have. Some of you are comparing yourself so much it's not healthy. When does it stop? Keeping up with the Joneses can be an illness. And then we have to go for some what? Some relief, some debt. We just keep on borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. We got to change your definition of what it means to be rich. I'm going to tell you right now, rich people ain't running around with all those labels on. Poor people are. They're giving away their wealth. It's the rich people that are collected from the poor people because the poor people don't understand how it really works. Poor people, they do a lot of mind chatter in their head to tell themselves they're doing it right. But it's not true. We're going to school and sending our kids to school and we're educating on everything but how to live. A lot of them don't understand, you know what I mean? They're learning basic math figures in school. However, how many are applying it to real life? How many really understand finances? They're not teaching it right. In school, they're not teaching us properly. Think about it. We're spending years and years learning on geography, history, and all these different subjects. You don't need years to learn that stuff. You need to learn about how to manage yourself in society. We need to learn about financing and budgeting. We need to know that when we get these mortgages, what this interest rate is really going to do. Realistically, are you going to be able to afford it? Are you living within your means? You have to understand that. We're not teaching that. We're teaching them about business, right? We're teaching them what business means and how business operate, different business models. But we're not teaching people how to buy businesses. That's the problem. Schools aren't teaching us what we need because there's a reason. That's why there's less than what? There's 8% of the population controlling the 92%. And it's going to stay that way because we are learning. That's what the education was designed to do, keep us busy, not get us busy in society making things happen, right? We're dependent on these big corporations. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses. What's next? We're not trying to help the world be a better place. We got to live within our means. We got to let our resources go where they should be going to help our fellow individual. Okay? We got to change our definition of actually what it means to be rich. Being rich doesn't have to mean driving a BMW and vacationing in Capri every fall. It can mean having enough money to keep your family and children happy and to have some spending set aside for fun with your significant other and some light travel too. Once you see that this can be your own definition of rich, you'll be able to relax, stop worrying, and I said stop worrying so much about how other people perceive your wealth. See, that's what a lot of you are worried about, that peer pressure. Knowing, you got to know. You got to know your current situation. You can't just keep on this roller coaster where you're going up and down. You don't know what direction you're going in, but you're going round and round. Know that spending less money will not decrease your quality of life. So you invite some friends over for some nice wine instead of spending money at a crowded bar. You and your significant other take a road trip to Portland instead of flying there. Does this really decrease your quality of life? Absolutely not. You'll still be doing the things you love. You'll just be doing them a bit differently. Don't think that you'll be making your life worse if you spend less money. In fact, spending less money can increase your quality of life because doing so will make you less stressed about wasting money and you'll feel more at peace with your decisions. And you have to, and I got to say this, you have to be grateful for what you do have. Instead of focusing on what you wish you had, a new car, a fancy suit, a larger house, focus on all the things that you are lucky enough to have. You may hate your TV, but you love your computer. You may wish you had a new coat, but you have so many great sweaters. Make a list of all the things that you do have. Don't just limit the list to the material things. You may be grateful for an amazing significant other, wonderful children, or the amazing place where you live. Being aware of all the things that you do have will make you less likely to spend impulsively to make up for anything that you feel you're lacking in your life. It's amazing when you appreciate what you got, how you feel, how you can go out there every day with a smile on your face. It's just appreciation. Shoot, some of you should be appreciating the places that you live in comparison to other people. Do you understand? Some people, there's always less fortunate people than yourself, but we don't see that. We're always worried about the Joneses. We're always reaching for more. We ain't never satisfied, right? We're not. See, I don't understand how some of these billionaires and millionaires, most of them, can sit up there and take from people, but then see people starving to death in other countries, can't even eat. That's our fellow human being. I just don't understand how they could do that. Oh, some of them, oh, the richest of rich, they talk about, oh, we give, we have our foundations, and excuse me, you have your foundations that you give money away and claim your taxes. I'm not against rich people. I'm just saying I don't know how some of them could live with themselves. I don't know how some of them could see that, you know what, I got this, but I could see people barely living in certain countries. Like, the world ain't never going to change if we don't change our way of thinking. Living beyond your means is also respect for the rich, but disrespect for the poor. So think about it. Disrespect for yourself. You shouldn't be living beyond your means. You should understand and appreciate, and we should care about other people and think about our lives and how we're conducting ourselves. Are we just following this pattern out there? That machine, that propaganda machine that says buy, 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 buy. Right? Purchase me. Gotta have it. Gotta look good. Right? We don't even know, many of us, why we're doing half the things that we're doing because we're not stopping to take a look at ourselves, what we really need. But we just like it. It looks good. You know what? It's what we want. There's nothing wrong with wanting certain things. But too many of us have gotten away from the needs. Some of you are buying what you want and forgetting what you need. That's the problem. And how many of you are really saving out there? You don't know nothing about saving. A lot of you won't save. A lot of you don't even know what it's like to have actual cash in your hand to feel good. Trust me, get some of that cash in your hand, starts to build, right? A lot of times when you have it in these accounts, they ain't making no interest. You know what I mean? So you don't want to save it. Oh, every time I turn around and I look at my account, I'm in the debt. It's in the minus column, right? When they got those accounts and it's called overdraft, that's not good because once you start living in overdraft, you stay in overdraft. Do you notice that? There's some psychology behind this thing. It's not even difficult. It's psychology. They know that. The banks know that. Or we'll give you overdraft protection of $1,000. But then they know once you start going into that mindset of overdraft that you have that extra money, you're going to use it. So they charge you those extra service fees. There's little things you can do, right? Eat at home whenever you can. Eating at home doesn't have to be less exciting than going out to eat. Eating at home will make you be a better cook, be more conscious about what goes into your food, and it could even create an intimate atmosphere for a date night or a social gathering. And of course, it saves money too. If one of your biggest expenditures come from going out to eat, try to cut down from many meals you eat out by at least a week. And then reduce that number further until you see that you're happy if you only go out to eat once in a while. You don't need to go every week. Some people go out to McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell, all these places. You know what I mean? Every week. And they teach their kids to eat all that junk food. And they wonder why the kids are overweight and unhealthy. Oh, we're just going to give them a treat. They deserve it. I love them. If you loved them, you'd be knowing half that stuff that goes in their belly is not good for them. If you only knew what half of it was made of. And think about the packaging of going to McDonald's. Oh, the food tastes good because they throw sugar in half that stuff. But what about the packaging? You should be ashamed. When you have a McDonald's meal and you have a family of 4 or 5 and you buy all that McDonald's, think about the packaging. After you have that hamburger, cheeseburger, milkshake, right? Apple pie. What about the containers? All that is killing our planet. It's going in the garbage and it's building up, and we're wondering why the planet is dying. Living beyond our means. We're not even being conscious about what's going on. We have to be told by the government that you can't use plastic bags anymore. I know in Canada, they're banning it in Ontario at least, plastic bags. They should have never had plastic bags out there. They should have told people, you have to have containers and keep them with you and then do your grocery shopping. You shouldn't be, it's a throwaway society. Some of you just don't care. You're not even thinking. You're not even awake. You're just on automatic pilot. And it's a shame, right? You're just eating. You know what I mean? You got to stop eating junk. And you got to start being realistic. There's lots of land out there for us to grow natural foods. All this packaging, all this money and resources going into these monopolies. We got to worry about this situation. See, of course, sometimes you have to go out to eat. For a co-worker's goodbye party or a friend's birthday. When you do eat out, though, you can be conscious of what you spend. Don't show up starving or you'll be likely to order too much food and spend too much money. How many of you go to work, and be honest with yourself, how many of you go to work and actually take your lunch? There's too many of you trying to rationalize. See, this is the thing. These fast food restaurants, they make $5 look like it's really affordable. Really, it does. Think about this. You go to McDonald's or something, let's say every day, because you're like, oh, it's only $5. You know what? It's $5. That's all it is. So you go every day. That's $25 in a 5-day period. And it's never just $5. It's usually $10. That's $50. So that means $50 a week times 4. That's $200 that you're throwing away on takeout instead of taking your lunch and eating healthier. Too many of you are out there buying, right? Or sometimes you go out there and you go on to Friday. Oh, I got to get together with my colleagues. Sure you do. I'm not saying that. But put your money together. Make sure you're not living beyond your means. Go for something to eat with them. But a lot of them get together every Fridays. I know there's colleagues that get together and they go out every Friday. They treat themselves. It's a good social thing. But then they end up spending $30 or $25, and it still adds up the same. The point is, you can't live beyond your means, right? You want to go out, go ahead, go out, but make sure you're spending what you need to spend, and wait for sales if you have to, real sales. I'm not talking about these special holidays where they sit up there and they tell you, oh, we're having 20% off. But if you go 2 weeks before that, you'll see that they just increase the prices to lower them down for that sale, that so-called sale, right? There's always sales. Watch out for that trap. Wait for sales if you have to. You should never have to buy something at full retail price. Not the way things are going today. Many of you don't even know what full retail price is because you think everything you're getting is a sale. Wait for the items to go on sale. Get coupons if you can, and just have the patience to know that anything you really want will eventually cost less money. You don't have to get the newest version of an iPod or a video game the second it comes out. Wait a few months for the price to go down, and you could be saving hundreds of dollars. Patience. There's nothing wrong with buying secondhand either. You can find great clothes for great prices at a thrift store. And there's a lot of people going to the thrift store because a lot of them people that got money, right, or who don't have money give up, oh, I'm going to give away all this stuff. They don't even know how to sell it, so they give it away, and it's great. And I think thrift stores also are good because a lot of that money goes into social programs. Well, we've been raised to believe, oh, I would never go to a thrift store. Well, come on. Think about it, right? You don't always have to go anywhere. You can go once in a blue moon to break it up. You know what I mean? But even be careful with thrift stores. It's almost like the dollar store. Thrift stores, you go in there and think you're getting something for $2, but you end up buying 20 pieces. There goes the math right there. There goes your money right there. You're not even doing the basic thinking anymore. Dollar store. Come on. How many of you been trapped by that dollar store? You go in there thinking you're spending $1. Next thing you know, you're coming out spending $50, $60 worth of some junk you don't actually need. You got more garbage in your house. It's like hoarding. Get control of yourself, people. The dollar store's a trap too. Oh, they got some cheaper items, but be careful. And how you know? Go into a regular grocery store and look at a can of beans. It might be 86 cents for a regular can of beans. Go to the dollar store, they're $1. So what's happening there? See, they're getting you, people, but you ain't thinking about that. Dollar store, watch it. And besides, there's no dollar at the dollar store anymore. Minimum is $1.25, $1.50, $4. It started out as dollar store. See, they got you conditioned that it's the dollar store. But you ain't spending no dollar. You're spending more than $1. Spending more dollars will make you holler because you ain't keeping track in your mind of what you're really doing. You're just on automatic pilot. See, entertain at home instead of going out. Throw a party instead of going out to the bars with your friends once in a while. Invite people over for a movie night instead of spending $15 a ticket to go see a movie on the day it comes out. Having fun in your own home can be even more enjoyable than going out because you don't have to deal with strangers and can control what you eat and drink. So the next time you want to have a social event, invite a few friends over instead of hitting up the pricey and noisy bars. Everything within reason. Now, because we got this pandemic going on, there's a lot of you can't do that. And I don't suggest you doing it because of the pandemic. Pandemic ain't going to last forever. It'll last for a while. We got vaccines over there. And even that's another podcast. But the point is, the pandemic is here. But even when it comes to being over this pandemic, you still have to live within your means. Because it is really expensive. And I think a lot of you right now who are sitting home because you're on lockdown, you're starting to reevaluate what you're really spending out there and what you can actually save. It's amazing. This pandemic has been terrible in so many different ways, but it's been an eye-opener in many other different ways. It's true. Think about it, right? You're going home as opposed to going to 5 different places you don't need to go. Now, the government had to tell you that. Oh, you're staying home. You don't like it, but you're realizing something. Wait a minute. I might be losing my mind, but I'm saving my money, right? So all I'm saying to you is live beyond your means. Let this wake-up call really work for you. right? Think about it. And if you have to, cancel the subscriptions you do not need. I can't even tell you, and you people know, if you have a credit card and you've got some subscription, do you notice that they just keep billing and billing? You might have canceled the service, and I bet you many of you never look back and said, hey, wait, where's this charge coming from? You're just paying that bill. You're on automatic pilot. You got to cancel those subscriptions that you don't need. You could be spending over $100 a month on subscriptions that you don't really need. Cut down on your spending by eliminating some of the subscriptions from your monthly bills. See, think about even if you have a company like Bell Canada and they want to charge you $100. Oh, you got your cable, you got your bundle, you got your cable, your telephone, and all that. Well, I'm here to tell you, when you're on automatic pilot, it just keeps going up. Every once in a while, you got to do a double take and you got to check things out. And you go to Bell and say, hey, listen, I'm planning on switching. It's getting way too expensive. Most of you will never do that. I got a great deal. Well, there's competition out there, and they will give you better deals. Well, Bell's more reliable. Well, there's some good companies out there. I'm telling you, try it. Call around. Find out what the competition is offering. Change it up every once in a while. You might even save yourself like $600 in a year, $700 just by switching it up. You don't got to switch it up forever, but they always have promotions going on. And if Bell says, oh, we don't got no promotion, or Rogers says, these are cable companies and phone companies I'm talking about. But if they're like, we don't have no deals for you, go elsewhere. You could, hey, $50 a month in savings? Come on, people. $600 a year? Give me a break. That's good. That'll help you do something for real. You understand? And even when it comes to gym memberships, if you only hit up the gym once or twice a month, cancel that membership and go running instead. Come on. These ones with, why do you think these gym memberships are saying $10 a month? Most of you got to think, why the heck are they only offering $10 a month for this membership in these big popular gyms? You know why? Because they know you're only going to go once a month, if that. They ain't spending no money. They're not giving you anything but space, right? And they know 90% of people don't really go. There's probably 10% that really go regularly, but the rest will go for a little bit. They're too busy. We live busy lives, right? So think about it, right? How effective is that membership? And what are you really paying? Some of you paying $50, $60 a month. Think about what you're doing. What about Netflix membership? That looks cheap, don't it? See how those prices are going up, especially during this pandemic. I guess you're not concerned about the consumer having less money, right? So you up the membership, even though you know there's more people sitting at home watching, because you're going to dig deep, go deep in our pockets, because you don't care about us. That's why I said be careful, right? Save money by only paying to stream from Netflix instead of paying an extra fee for ordering DVDs when you never use this feature. Now, DVDs is getting out, but what I'm saying is there's streaming services that are getting really expensive. All right. Magazine subscription. If you only read one or two articles in the magazine that comes each month, then you're better off saving your money and catching the news online. I'll tell you right now what I do. Sometimes I go to places like Walmart, see those magazines that I like. I'll sit there and I'll read through an article right there on the spot. I don't care. Security ain't never told me go home. I'll go in there and read a magazine, Men's Health or something like that, and I'll look at it, and you know what's funny? It's all fluff. It's all full of advertisements. There's an article that might take me 10 minutes to read or less. I'll read through there the interesting and boom. Next thing you know, I ain't spend no money. What? I'm telling you, smart, right? No, a book's different, but a magazine, I could flip through that bad boy in a couple minutes, and I'm good to go. I'm no fool. You want to entertain me? Good. I'm gonna read this. All right. When was the last time you actually had somebody in the store walk up to you and say, "Hey, put that magazine down. You can't read it." Never. And the reason why that is because they want you in that store. The longer they get you in that store, the more you're gonna purchase. Well, not me. I'm very specific. I make sure that I write down what I'm going for and I get what's on that list. And if I got reading on that list, you know what I'm going to do. And you know what? If the lines are long, I grab that magazine. That's what they got it for. I read through that magazine. Who cares? You understand? I ain't spending $7, $8 on no magazine. That's crazy today. Be careful. Now, I want you to understand something else. Borrowing is not something that I really recommend because it's usually consequences that you have to deal with later. Borrow whenever you can. Go to the library to borrow a book. Okay? Not money I'm talking about. Borrow. Go to the library to borrow a book instead of paying for one at the store. I'm going to tell you, too, a little secret that a lot of you don't know about Indigo. If you got a book, you can purchase a book, and you got 30 days to return it or less, maybe 25 days. Purchase that book and read that book and return it before the date. You get your money back. They can't do nothing about it. It's a policy. Do you understand? I'm not telling you to cheat. I'm just telling you to survive. All right? So when you go to the library, that's a good selection too. Get yourself a book out that library. A lot of times the books at the libraries are taken up, right? They're on hold. So what? Be patient. Get a different book in the meantime. Put yourself on that list. They'll email you and contact you when the book is in. The library is a great resource. And if you can't go to the library in your neighborhood, trust me, go to a library in another community and get that book. You'd be surprised what's out there in the library. You can look it up real quick too. Borrow a dress that you'll only need to wear once from a stylish friend instead of spending a lot of money or something you'll never wear again. Share your stuff with your friends and they will do the same with you. Borrowing is a great and fun way to save money. I don't know. I know some of you are shaking your heads. I'll never do that. But just consider it. Some of you are borrowing anyways, without permission. Have a garden if you can. I'm serious. If you have a garden, some of you living in condos will be like, I don't have a garden. I got a balcony. See if they have a garden that you can put something in, right? On the rooftop. I know it sounds crazy, but try it. Ask. But if you have access to some earth, have a garden. Gardening is not only a fun and relaxing hobby and one that has been shown to increase your lifespan, but it's a definite money saver. Instead of spending money on vegetables and herbs every week, make a one-time investment in a garden and see how much money you save every week, especially if you live in those hot climates. Do it. And don't ever shop without a list. Don't do it. It's a killer for your finances. Whether you're going to the grocery store or the mall, you are much more likely to spend impulsively and recklessly if you just roam around buying whatever you think you need instead of being prepared with a thorough list of every time you shop. And do not stray from it unless you see something that you really, really need, but forgot to write down. Even if you're going to the mall and only buy 3 items, write them down on a list. This will make you more aware of buying something you didn't intend to take home. Okay? This will be like, I didn't need it, because you're going to see things that you like for sure. You're going to be so tempted to buy something that you really don't need. It's unbelievable. And if you can, wait. I want you to wait, because if you wait 48 hours before making a big purchase, you'll be surprised what your mind says. Your mind will tell you didn't really need that. Oh yeah, you're going to be tempted. Oh, they got some advertising geniuses out there. That marketing out there is just amazing. They got the psychology behind it. Most of you can't beat it. It's difficult. It's challenging. You're just drawn in. So I do recommend this strategy. Something that you really like or you saw, wait 48 hours. If you see a brand new jacket or a nice pair of shoes at the mall or while you're shopping online, don't buy the item the second you decide you can't live without it. Instead, give yourself 48 hours to really think it through. Maybe you'll find that you really don't need that item after all, and that you're able to find a less expensive substitute. If you have thought it through and decided that you really do need it, then you will feel better about your decision after 48 hours. I'm going to tell you something too. These athletic stores, they're tricky too. You might see some pair of shoes in there and oh, those are out. So many of us, we purchase because we're like, oh, we got to have it, right? And they always advertise and market to us individuals trying to tell us that it's the last item or we're going to get them next week. Sometimes they pull those items so that they can get the demand going. It's a strategy, people. It's a strategy. And many of us are not awake. We're on automatic pilot. And you got to wake up. You got to slap yourself. You got to say, I'm living beyond my means. I ain't got it. And that's okay if I ain't got it. I got to get it. And if I got to get it, it's going to be something that I'm living on. I need less stress in my life. You could look good with some old stuff. Besides, a lot of that old stuff comes back new anyway. But the point is that stop over consuming. Start to live beyond your means. Start looking at what you actually really have. Not what the paper says. What do you actually have that you can go out there and live a good life with? And where is happiness? It's not chasing the Joneses. Stop it. Enough is enough. Live a good, simple life if you have to. Enjoy yourself and reward yourself, but live within your means. Well, I'm going to tell you the counselor is out there to support everybody, and that he cares, and he wants you to start thinking about things. He wants you to wake up every once in a while, snap out of it, and start realizing that there are strategies, there's propaganda, there's machines out there at play that work on our every move, right? They're monitoring us more. We're giving out our information. We're having less control, and we got to get our control. We need to think and know the difference between wants and needs. Well, great information today. I want you to be like the wise old bird and spread the word, because this is some serious information for you. You need to wake up. This pandemic has got you thinking. So thank you for listening. Take care of yourself, people.